still
Well, let's
have
go down to
the
community partners. Tony?
I think the only update that I found, I think it would be valuable for the group, and if anyone has any specific questions, I'm happy to answer. But I think with the LADA update and the talk about the FCC map and kind of how we're approaching this, digesting that data, those are primarily the two updates I wanted to provide from Mendocino County side. So if you have any questions, please. But I think that should cover it as to where we're at today.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Thank you, Tony. And to let you know, I indicated to Director Krog that she could, I don't know who to reach out to for Office of Emergency Service, but she's the Director of Planning and Building Services. So we would just substitute Planning and Building Services for Emergency Services on this occasion. And so, Julia Krog, if you have comments.
Sure, great. I think I already shared my main update, which was about the Middle Mile project, and that we've been contacted by Caltrans and the Coastal Commission staff regarding that consolidated coastal development permit. So that's really the main update I have. And Jeff, I'm always happy to provide you a contact too at Office of Emergency Services. There's a new gentleman there. His name is Garrett, and so I can share that information with you.
Okay, that would be great.
Yeah.
I ask so much of Supervisor Williams that, and when I do get a hold of him, there are a laundry list of things, and this is one of those things that slipped through.
No
So
problem.
I would appreciate your help. Always do.
Great.
Thanks.
Well, as the outsider, I'd say that it seems as though the county is now stepping up. And granted, it's also where money's flowing to the county. And so finally able to, let's going with the basic understanding that Mendocino County is cash strapped and is not going to, run out to spend money on its own on any project, regardless of whether it's broadband or not. And understandably, it seems really nice that the two of you are here representing the county. I think that it's been time for the county to step up more, which I think is fantastic. Thank you. We don't have anybody from North Bay Broadband. Did you want to throw it? You're going to represent?
Yes, we
Great. Go right ahead.
I would be glad to and that would be the announcement, is that Calvin Sandine has taken a leave of absence from Sonoma County Economic Development District, and don't know the length of leave of absence. So I was the deputy manager of the North Bay North Coast Broadband Consortium going into that, and I have become the manager of the North Bay North Coast Broadband Consortium. I think earlier in this agenda, we already covered the renewal of that grant and the conclusion of that grant. We are putting together the final report for the concluding grant segment, and we have the application in for the subsequent grant. And I'm happy to take the lead of the 4-county consortium because it is a good collaboration. Learn a lot from the consultants for the 4 counties. It's a great resource, and we should retain it. And as of now, I'm the manager. But again, we are wrapping up one grant and applying for another, with lots of collaborative work around all of the issues that we're discussing here today: middle mile, last mile, FCC, fabric, and progress is being made.
Congratulations.
Thank you. The 4 counties are in different districts when it comes to the middle mile. We are in District 1 and they are all in District 4. Likewise, we're regarded as a rural county and are tapping into the $1 billion of rural funds in SB 156. And the other 3 counties in the consortium are regarded as urban counties and have a different funding source. But it all amounts to the same. We're looking for information about the middle mile and waiting for our consultants and our LADA grants to give us insights into how to best apply the funds for last mile build out.
Great. Julia, I just got texted a question, and that is, when the fiber optic cable goes through Mendocino County, is it going to go, for example, on Highway 128, because it was asked by a Boonville resident, is it going to literally be cut into 128, or is it going to go on the side, or do you know?
I do not yet know, actually.
Okay.
So part of what will be provided as the packet that will go in front of our Board of Supervisors regarding delegating their authority will be a plan set, or at least a project description. I believe it'll be located within the roadway of the right-of-way of Caltrans, but I'm unsure exactly how they plan to do that, whether it'll be in the travel lane adjacent to it. So yet to find out soon.
Jeff was telling us at the last meeting or so that the junctures are going to be every 1,000 feet. Have you read that or heard that?
I have not. No, they haven't provided me with any more information other than that they will be filing for the consolidated permit. So,
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Just, I think, Jeff, wasn't it you that explained to us that the junctures were 1,000 feet because that's how long the spools of fiber optic cable are?
Precisely, yes.
Okay.
We were concerned that if there wasn't access, if there was, like, for instance, if there is only a junction box or a vault where there is a highway exit, that it could be 10 miles of without access, and then all of the houses along that 10-mile, the middle mile, or rather the last mile, would have to, like, parallel it, and it would take up all of our funding. So knowing that they're going to put a junction box at the end of every spool means that we won't need to cover large segments paralleling the middle mile in order to access those homes that might be 5 miles from an exit.
Good to know.
And I do know from talking with Coastal Commission staff, they said there are a couple above ground structures that are going to be associated with this. And certainly for our office, the main concern is about the siting of those. So that way they're not, like, west of the first public road and highly scenic areas and such. So they're doing some research on how to adequately site those while still meeting the requirements for where they need to be located.
Good to know. Good to know.
And as background, through the grant application that we made to the CASIF infrastructure account, we did site huts in the project one, and so whether or not those who are working on the LATA grant concur with our assessment as to where those should be located, we have given some guidance as to what the first team thought was the appropriate locations, which will be integrated into their more precise work. If Julia cares to see any of that in advance, I mean, it might be just spinning your wheels because a different data set would be the one that we're going with, but it can give you an idea of what the preliminary reports suggest we should do.
Okay, moving
I'm
on.
wondering whether Mendocino College would care
Right.
to report on broadband or technology, or how all of this is hitting you.
Yeah, so we have, for example, we have centers in Lakeport, Fort Bragg, and in Willits, and we're connected at a gig to each of those locations back to the Ukiah campus. But we also have a little classroom in Covelo, and that's probably our biggest challenge. We have wireless up there, which I think is pretty much what everybody else has done up there. But in talking to Scenic, which is the statewide education network, they've actually apparently been working with AT&T and Frontier to bring fiber up into Covelo to connect the school district up there and the library, as well as they have some interest in connecting the health center up there. And so we are hoping to be able to piggyback on that and and actually get good connectivity to our classroom up there. That's probably our most recent project of interest to this group.
For what it's
Great.
worth,
Great.
I believe the scenic build out project in Covelo, at least to the library, is nearing completion.
Right.
So, yeah, it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, I guess what happened is Scenic was able to convince the two to work together, and
Yeah.
so that Frontier could connect at Laytonville rather than having to go all the way back. So they're connected to AT&T at Laytonville, and that's what's a lot. And then they're using some of the broadband funds to facilitate that project. So
Yeah.
Wow. That's
And the middle
fantastic.
mile will go out to Covelo.
Yes.
I mean, it is on the 10,000 mile.
Yep.
map,
yeah, I guess
so
it wasn't
by
initially, but it
2027.
is now. So
Right. We've been pushing for that all along. I mean, for years.
appreciate it.
Pounding the table.
Yep.
And I mean, as a Native American community, there are additional funds available, and they are doing great work in being ahead of the curve with regard to the rest of the county in
Right.
tapping into funds and making progress.
Yeah, and actually, when I
So
talked to
not only are
Scenic, they were interested in finding someone to talk to at the tribe, because they would like to help them. What I got from the conversation with Scenic is that Round Valley is kind of their poster child for how they've been able to leverage the two telcos, and so they would kind of like to add more people to that connection up in Covelo. So if anybody has a good person for them to talk to, let me know. I'll be glad to pass it on.
That's good.